How's it going, New World? Sethphir here, and today we are going to take a look at combat in New World. So, there are a lot of mechanics in this game that you can play around with. So, there's a very straightforward way to play where you will take damage, and there's also a way that you can play to where you can kind of master and utilize a lot of the mechanics, and you're going to need this going into the higher levels of the game, so you might as well start now. Even if you're level 10, even if you're level 20, it does not matter. All of these mechanics will just get better and better if you practice them, and understanding the system will help you level as well as do good in the dungeons and the later in-game content of the game. So for this part of the series, we're going to go ahead and take a look at melee weapons and how they're performing and how they're functioning in combat, as well as a few basics. So we're going to call this a noob to pro guide in terms of melee combat, right? So we're working on getting you to have a better understanding of the fundamental combat mechanics of New World from the melee perspective. So for first things, let's go ahead and talk about like the first basic mechanic, which is going to be stamina bar. If I dodge, everyone knows this, you can dodge in the game by pressing, I believe it's shift is the basic one, but you will be able to dodge for a certain amount of stamina, which will get you out of the way of harm. It also has a brief iframe, so you can kind of like dodge through some sort of things, so just keep that in mind. Your dodge cost is based on your weight, so if you're a heavy, it's going to be 50. If you are light, it is also going to be 50. However, medium category has a 40 stamina dodge. There is one other factor that can lower that, and that is going to be 150 dexterity, which will reduce the cost of all dodges by 10 stamina. There is some later perks in the game and different item abilities that may reduce stamina consumption and dodge consumption. However, they're more like late game advanced stuff, and I don't think a lot of people have that or are going to see that for quite a while, so we'll go ahead and pass over those there for now, but just be aware that they do exist. So that dodge is a critical mechanic. The other one is blocking. So as you can see here, blocking with the shield is very good. You can absorb attacks, but while you're blocking, your stamina will not regenerate. So if I hold down block here, I'm at 50 stamina, it's not coming back at the bottom of the screen, and if I let go, it should start to regenerate. You can block with any weapon, but the hitbox of the weapon is based on the model of the weapon, right? So shields are better because they have a really big hitbox in the front and they guard most of your body, whereas something like this would not help me against like lower horizontal attacks, right? It would help me against vertical attacks because I would be able to block something in that nature. You can also tilt your block, so you can kind of, if you're really good, you can block something low or block something high, especially with the shield. You can do things like that. So let's go ahead and dive into a few basics here and talk about like damage numbers, and we'll kind of demonstrate that. So let's go ahead and grab our friendly level 64 soldier man over here, and let's get him to come engage us in combat off on the side so he doesn't bring all his friends, because that's never fun. So we'll go ahead and go up here. So we'll start with this basic blocking. He's also blocking, and there we go. I have blocked an attack. It consumes a little bit of stamina every time I get hit, and if you get hit with a heavy attack, that will destroy your stamina a lot quicker. So just be aware of that. And you see there, he flashed for a moment. That's what's called a grip move, so we'll kind of go over that. So a grip move is basically something that makes you uninterruptible, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate that here. I'll use a grip move, and I will, we'll have to get him to go up there. Here's a grip move, and I'm uninterruptible, so you can't hit me during that. So it will allow me to power through maneuvers, right? So that's what that's gonna allow me to do. So grip moves cannot be stopped, right? When he's flashing white, if I hit him with a stun or a CC ability, he will not be staggered or CC. But if I hit him regularly with a stun or CC ability, right there, oh, it broke his guard because he had a shield up, so you can block that with that sort of thing. But I'll hit him with another one here in a second, if I could actually land these moves. Pretty funny. Okay, here we go. We'll try to hit him with that, and you can see he's flattened on the ground, so that is a stun on him. So there's a few ways to go about this. For a shield, I would recommend blocking, because you're going to be able to take low amounts of stamina damage, and that's just due to the shield's ability to reduce stamina consumption while blocking. If I were to block with this hammer, you know, I'm taking a little bit more per hit. So it's not as good, but it's possible. You can do it. And the hammer does have some talents that reduce the stamina consumption of abilities and things like that too. So you could look into that. Same for like the great axe and the spear and all those sorts of things. You can block with every single weapon, even the hatchet. So that's a basic mechanic here. Now let's look at damage types. So if I were to hit this guy, he is taking yellow damage here. And why is he taking that? That's because he is weak to that element. This is yellow, would be slashing from the sword here. So since I'm slashing with my basic attack, he'll take yellow. Let's try a thrust. So here's a thrust to break his guard. There's another one that was a critical. So let's see if we can hit him again. Another critical. There we go. So blue means that you have done reduced damage to the mob type, right? Blue means that you're doing less damage, and that's just based on the mob types here. So this is an Angry Earth, so that he takes increased damage from slashing and lower damage from thrusting, right? So yellow hits here versus that. Now, I'd imagine like striking with the Warhammer would probably be a little bit different. There's white damage number, so that means that he's neutral to that element, both frost and striking damage. So he took about the same damage from both of those attacks. He literally took the same. So white is indicating that they are taking normal damage, right? So those are the colors. Yellow, more. Blue, less. White, normal. And then you did see orange stuff, which orange is a critical. So let's go ahead and get this guy over here. Number 2 on the soldier guy. So we'll go ahead and hit him down here, and we'll break his guard, and we will try to stagger him. Here we go. Get around. There, we're behind him. As you can see, we're behind him. We're dealing critical damage. So orange is critical. You get criticals from your base RNG crit chance, which can come on weapons and abilities. Like here, I have the sword passive, which gives me 10% increased chance to crit. So that's just RNG for me. You can also get criticals by hitting somebody from behind with a melee attack. And this is specific to melee attacks. We'll dive into ranged stuff later, but ranged have headshots, and casters unfortunately have nothing besides just pure crit chance, but you know, it is what it is. So these mobs will also have elemental weaknesses, so this one will be resistant to fire, so if you were to socket a fire gem into there, you would be able to do more damage like that. So keep in mind that these resistances and these types of damage play a good part in combat, right? So I would strongly recommend blocking for the sword and getting a few hits in when you know he's not doing something, and then retaliating when you feel like he is. You can trade a bit of damage, but make sure your health is good when you trade the damage, because I know some people want to kill things faster, right? And that's always good to do. But you want to keep in mind that, like, if you're getting hit by something like this, make sure you have the HP or the regeneration to back it up, so that you don't have to constantly fill up your health bar, because the more you block and the more you dodge, the better off you're gonna be, right? And so let's go ahead and find another example, because blocking is also can be done at range. So we'll go ahead and aggro this archer over here and see if we can get him to shoot a few shots at us. So we'll just kind of go up to him again. You can see critical on the back hit. There he goes, he's gonna shoot. And I can block these shots just like I can pretty much anything else, right? The shield's really good at this. But if I were to switch to the hammer, as you can see, I'm getting hit because I'm not blocking the projectile like right where it is. But if I go back to the shield, I should be able to block all projectiles because it's a real solid interface in front of me, right? And so when you block with the hammer, it's blocking on the model of the hammer, right? The hitbox model. So you would have to, like, I don't know, predict where that arrow is and barely hit it on the hilt or something, or it'd have to be in the sweet spot in order for that block to kind of go through. But it doesn't seem to be very effective. The shield is probably the best thing at blocking things like that. And there are different models of weapons. They have different block angles and things like that. So you can kind of play around like that with that if you want to. The next thing we'll talk about is gonna be just like how to use a melee weapon like this. So dodging is probably better than blocking with non-shields, I would say. But there are some times where you want to block with the shield. Like, it can be really good. So we'll go ahead and just kind of get a basic dodge here. And as you can see, you can get around these people a lot easier. Oh, I hope this man isn't coming into combat with me. But, you know, it's going to be a little bit better for you to do for dodging. So the general strategy for melee weapons is probably going to be to do a quick 1-2 combo and then dodge somewhere like decent, right? And usually dodging and around them is good because you can get on the back and try to get some back hits. So that's always a nice thing to do here. So we'll go ahead and reset our range mob, and then we'll talk about stuns and CCs. So this is going to be a stun right here after he's done with his grip move, because remember, grip moves cannot be stunned. There we go. We have hit him onto the ground. So that would be a knockdown, which is a basic stun, right? This is a true stun in this game. Not to be confused with an actual stun. When something says stun, it doesn't mean stun. It actually means a sleep. And so what's a good example of this is this bash right here. It says it stuns for 2 seconds. It doesn't actually stun them. They're not, like, when you deal damage to them, they break free from that stun. So what it means is it kind of puts them to sleep until they're dealt damage. So there's a big difference. A knockdown is a true stun. That's a true stun. You can hit him and he won't get back up faster or anything like that. A stun is actually a sleep in this game. And then there's one final thing, which not a lot of skills mention, which is a stagger. So there, I kind of staggered him back, so he kind of had to flinch. And that's coming from reverse stab. And there are other moves, like Path of Destiny for the Warhammer, that say that they stagger and things of that nature. So that's pretty much where we're at with that. So next we'll go into block breaking and how to break someone's guard or block. I don't know what this man is doing. Okay. Interesting. Now he's mad. Alright. So let me hit a heavy attack here. Hopefully he doesn't die from this. Looks like he is just going to. Yep, okay. We'll have to find another shield man, so we'll go ahead and run off in a different direction here, as hopefully we can find another one. But basically, when you block with a light attack, like when you block a light attack, you're going to take a certain amount of stamina damage. When you block a heavy attack, you're going to take more. And one other indicator of this is going to be the attribute in the strength talent, which means you do 50% more stamina damage for melee weapons, light and heavy attack. So what does that mean? That means that whenever you hit someone with like a better attack, or like any attack, you're going to deal more yellow bar damage. As you can see, this guy has a yellow bar below his HP thing. So if I were to hit him like this, he blocked, and his stamina went down, and now he's regenerating that stamina when he's not blocking. If I were to hit him with a heavy, it will break his guard completely because it does massive damage to the stamina bar. So if you ever seen those people in war where they just keep their shield up and they're just blocking forever, it's because no one's spamming a heavy attack on them. They're just left clicking. Charged moves like this grit move, special moves, do increased damage to shields, right? So like if I were to hit this man with a basic move here, hopefully he'll do something at some point, it would do increased damage to his shield, but not as much as a heavy attack would do. So heavy attacks are definitely your way to go for getting rid of a shield guard, right? So that's how you deal with those enemies. So once again, in summary, it's something like if you have a shield, try to look for opportunities to get like a hit, and then block. And different enemies are different. Like these are humanoids, but this is like a dog enemy, right? Or like a wolf. So he's a wild enemy. So we'll go ahead and fight him a little bit. But we can see his like attack pattern. He wants to jump back and try to snap. I can get a few hits in, block his next attack, and then we can just kind of keep doing that over and over, right? So you can get the pattern for his attacks, and if you want to trade damage, like you can squeeze it in, but basically you don't have to take very much damage if you don't want to, if you hold up your guard. Now, if I were to play this with the Warhammer, I would just want to do a hit, and then dodge out the way, get on the other side of him, and you can also block, but as you can see there, it drained a lot of my stamina just for doing that block. So it's much better for me to just dodge around the monster and get a few hits here and there, right? So that'll be like the best way to go for dealing with these type of monsters and your type of weapon that you have there. And then do keep in mind that all monsters are different. They're going to have different attack patterns and things of that nature. So you kind of need to just read the monster and figure out what he's doing and react to that. So just be careful to lock yourself in long attack chain animations and commit to like really heavy charge up attacks and skill moves, because those will isolate you in a frame lock and you won't be able to pull up your guard or dodge at the right time. So like if I were to use this move and then try to dodge, I can't, until after the move is done, right? So you need to just be mindful of the moves you choose. It's a lot more than just left click spam to win, right? So the biggest thing I would say with these type of weapons would just be double hit and then dodge for like any regular melee weapon. And if you have a shield, it would be like double hit, maybe triple hit, and then shield or block. And then you can also block with this weapon and other weapons like that, but I think you're going to get more value out of blocking with the shield specifically, and you will get more momentum and value out of dodging with the DPS melee weapons. So I hope this helps everyone and people learned a little bit here about the damage types of the monsters, the the stamina gauge, how blocking works, and dodging with the iframes and things of that nature. So I'll release a more like advanced tutorial later on the the fine tunings of this, but this was just a basic guide to help new players and even some advanced players understand the full mechanics of melee combat so that you can perform a little bit better out there while you're leveling and when you get into those cool in-game dungeons and even the dungeons along the way. So thank you for watching, everyone. If you found this content or information useful, feel free to check out the describe, like, and bell notification down below as you can get more information there. We also have a join button with tons of membership benefits and badges, emojis, different perks like that, and polls and stuff like that of that nature. So make sure you check that one out. We also have a Discord button down below, or not button, rather, in the description, where you can join like-minded players who are interested in New World and get all the latest info on these sweet farm spots, and you can even ask me questions directly on that Discord, so feel free to hop in there and explore on that one. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we will catch you in the next video.